Hello out there, welcome once again to my channel. My name is Olutola. I'm glad you are joining me again in this practice question tutorial. Please, I would like you to subscribe, like and share if you find it worthwhile. And in this tutorial, I will be working on this bearing and distance problem. So the question goes: a surveyor leaves her base camp and drives 42 kilometers on a bearing of 032 degrees. She then drives 28 kilometers on a bearing of 154 degrees. How far is she then from her base camp, and what is her bearing from it? So this is a two-in-one question. First, I can see it says how far is she, so that's distance. Then the second is what is her bearing from it. So a usual practice when you have a bearing and distance problem is for you to quickly have a sketch. It gives the question more clarity. So according to our Cartesian coordinates now, Cartesian coordinates, we have north, south, east, west. So the bearing given, this 032. 032 is what we call a three-figure bearing. And if I draw my my Cartesian coordinates, I will have this to be my north, I will have this to be my south, I will have this to be my east, then I'll have the other end to be my west. Alright, so the question says she leaves her base camp on a bearing of 032 degrees. As I said earlier, this is a three-figure bearing, which we always start to read from the north. We always read from the north, and we read clockwise. We read in the clockwise direction. So I'll start from the north and I'll read to my right. That's my clockwise direction. So I'm supposed to read in this manner. So I'll take this to be 032, which is I can still write it as 32 degrees. Then she drives for about 42 kilometers. So here will be 42 kilometers. 42 kilometers. Okay, so then I will call this the base camp according to the question. Base camp. Then the question also goes that she now drives 28 kilometers on a bearing of 154 degrees. I would say she made a turning. So I'm going to put another Cartesian coordinate about this point. So on getting to this point, she turns about 154 degrees. So still is still a three-figure bearing. So I'm going to read from the north again: north, south, east, west. I'm going to read from the north. So from this point down to this point is 90 degrees. Then 90 from 154 minus 90 will give us about 64 degrees left. So I'll take it down a little bit. If I take it down here, that would be 180. So but it is just 154 degrees, and 90 plus 64 will give me 154. So I'll take about this point up. Then so this is about 28 kilometers, and from this point right down to this point is 154 degrees. So and from this point down to this point is 90. So from this point to this point will be 64 degrees. So then the question now is how far is she from our base camp? Of course, you know that she will be somewhere at this point now. So let's call this let me call this the present location. This is where she is presently, present location, and we are to find the distance. We are to find the distance from the starting point, from the base camp. So I'm going to draw this down back to the base camp. Okay, I think I got that. So it's not going to be straight because the question didn't say she went in the eastern direction, and of course you know that 42 here is longer or is farther than the 28. So it will be one kind of this triangle. So before I proceed, according to angles, we have here to be 32. Yes, 32 degrees, and alternate angle says that this will also be 32 degrees. You know, when you look out for one kind of a Z, like this, here is 32, that means here will be 32. Okay, so also I can get this angle, you know, if here is 64, here is 64, that means the remaining, when I subtract 64 from 90, I will have that to be 30, sorry, that should be 26. So I will have here to be 26 plus 64 is 90. You know, in the quadrant, each of these quadrants is 90. So 90 minus 64 will give us 26 I mean. So I have this whole angle now. This whole angle here is 32 plus 26, which is 58 degrees. So having done that, I can't get this angle right here because it's not directly on the eastern direction. So I'll get that later on using sine rule. So let's calculate present, how far she is now from this point to the base camp, and we are going to use cosine rule to do that. Cosine rule will help us in getting the distance, how far she is from the starting point. Okay, if I call this point B, base camp, I can call this point the turning point. I call this point T, and I call this point, this is the present location, I call it P. So I have three points there, B, T, and P. So using cosine rule now, I'm going to have I'm looking for this distance now. Let me call it T. You know, it's facing T up here, so I call this place T. I call this B, small letter B, and I call this P. You know, small letter T is facing angle T, small letter B is facing angle B, and small letter P is facing angle P. Okay, so to find the distance from the base point now, the distance from our base camp or base point is T. I label it to be t. So going by cosine rule, I will have t square equals to b square plus p square, then minus 2bp cos the angle t. Now cos the angle t, t is what we are looking for, so it will go with the angle t. Okay, so if I do that now, I'm going to put in the values. I have t square equals to now is equals to b is 28, as we have here, 28 square. I'll keep the kilometer first, I'll put that later, plus 42 square minus 2 into bracket 28 into bracket 42 cos 58. 58 is angle t. Angle t is 58. Okay, now some text, some study material, some textbook, we have this to be plus. They will put this plus, while some uses put minus. I'm using minus here because I'm using the acute angle of the known angle. I'm using the acute angle. So some that will use plus here will be using the quadrant. That will be 180 minus 58. So if you are using minus, you must use the acute angle. If you are using plus, you must use 180 minus what the angle you have, 180 minus 58. Okay, so calculator will help us in this here now. T square, that's 28 square will give me from my calculator 784 plus 42 square will give 42 square will give 1764 minus 2 times 28 times 42. 2 times 28 times 42 will give 2352. Then I bring down cos 58. Of course, cos 58 is in degrees. So we have t. So t square is equals to, we are going to add 784 together. We are going to add it up with 1764, and we are going to have 2548 minus 2352 cos 58. So I'm going to use the calculator to do this right straight away. This is multiplying. 2352 is multiplying cos 58 before I subtract it from 2548. So I'm going to use my calculator, and when I do that, I should have t square equals to 1301.675 So of course, we are looking for t. So t is equals to we find the square root of 1301, all of this, and we are going to have the t to be 36.1, approximately 36 kilometers. So I've answered the first question. She is approximately 36 kilometers from base camp. So that's the first question here now. So the second question is, what is our bearing from it? So before I do that, I'm going to explain what that means. The question is, what is our bearing from it? What is our bearing from the base camp? So she is here presently. This is where she is. She's at point P. This is our present location. Now we have to find our bearing from the base camp. So as I used to tell my students, when you are asked what is the bearing from a particular point, you are going to go to that point. From that point, when the question goes from that point, you go to that point, then you read there, you read right there. So you are reading from this point. We are reading from this point B. So we are going to read this line. We read from the north, and don't forget the question was given in the bearings in the question were given in three figure bearing. So it's expected that we also give the answer in three figure bearing. So what we are expected to read is, we read from this line from the north, we read from here, we read down to the blue line, we read like this, we read down here. So but the good thing is that we have gotten a portion of it. We have gotten a portion of it to be 32 degrees. Now the other portion is what we are going to find now. So it's very simple. We have gotten this T to be 36.1 kilometers. So we are going to use sine rule to get the other angle here. So I'm going to do the sketch in the other page now. So I have this point to be point T. I have this to be B. I have this to be P. We have found this to be 36.1 kilometers. We found here to be 58 degrees. We have here to be 28 kilometers. Here was 42 kilometers. And we have the coordinate about this point, the Cartesian coordinate, in which we have a portion of it to be 32 degrees, the northern direction. Then what we need now is this. So this is east, this is south, and that's west. So what we need to find now is this angle. The angle here, I call it let me call it theta. So we use sine rule to do that. And sine rule is used for getting angles when the side is known. So as we already know, we have this angle 58 facing 36.1 kilometers. So we have 36.1 over sine 58 degrees equals to the angle that we are in need of, theta, is facing 28 kilometers. So 28 over sine theta. So when we cross multiply, we are going to have sine. We are going to have 36.1 sine theta equals to 28 sine 58 degrees. So sine theta will give us 28 sine 58 over 36.1. and we can use the calculator to do this. We are going to do this, but at the end of the day we are going to have theta to be sine inverse of 28 sine 58 degrees over 36.1. So theta will be 41.1 degrees. So in essence it means that this angle is 41.1 degrees. 41.1 degrees. So what we are going to do now is to now read the three-figure bearing. What is our bearing from the base camp? So we are going to read, as I said earlier, we are going to read from this point down to this point, not to the point going to the, not to the line going to the east, but the line going to P. So we have 32 plus 41.1, which will give us 73.1. We can have that approximately 73 degrees. So we have the bearing now. The bearing from the base camp is 073 degrees. That is in three-figure bearing. So we have the two answers now. We have how the distance from the base camp as 36 kilometers, and we have a bearing from the base camp to be 073 degrees. I thank you for staying with me in this tutorial problem. I would like you to please subscribe, like, please drop your comment. Let me know your feedback concerning my videos. Thank you very much for your support.